Hey guys, so I wanted to get on here, give you a layout of the data that I put into the A Thor, or the games that I put on the A Thor, and how that translates. As you can see here, we've got a number of games in this very cool Cocoon launcher. Now, it does not look like this when you first get it. Trust me, you got it. There's a learning curve to this thing. You got to be knowledgeable. Well, I don't say knowledgeable, but you got to kind of know what you're doing on Android and installing APKs and side loading. And not side loading, not even, you wouldn't need a command prompt or nothing like that. But how to install apps, go in there and tweak certain things. And like, for example, when you get it, the sound's not that good. But when you get a certain, what is it? I'll show you guys. It's called O2P tweaks. And then what that does is that puts a tweak in that activates this processor, this James DSP manager. So specifically when the device turns on, or when the gaming system turns on, the sound's much better. So it sounds like this now. Hold on. This is what it sounds like now, right? Decent. Sounds like a game system should sound like. Now, if I get rid of this thing up here, pew, or if I clear everything, which could kill everything in the memory. So, right? Isn't it? I didn't clear that. Usually that works. Usually I can just kill it and that kills everything. Let me see. Let me turn it off so you can hear. Boom. Okay, there we go. Let me just do that. So I got the volume here, right? You can't really hear that. So now you hear it, it's not as loud as before. Lackluster. So you got to know how to install apps and how to go in there and tweak certain things and follow, guides and things of that nature. Because I got the processing on now, it's much better. You got to know how to tweak certain settings. I'm not even going to touch it. But see how more, you see how more of a fulfilling sound that is now? So if you don't install that, or if you don't know what you're doing, the sound quality is not gonna be that good. So that's what I mean is, to get the best out of this, you gotta know what you're doing and installing these apps. But once you know what you're doing, you can have a lot of fun with this thing. So let me turn that down. I got an SD card in here. It's a 32 gigabyte. And I'll show you all my Gamecube games. These are all my Gamecube games on here. Luigi's Mansion, Shadow the Hedgehog, Super Monkey Ball. Oh, the other thing too that's cool about this, in addition to loading regular games, you also get to load custom ROMs that like other people have modded to make the game better. So for example, this is Luigi's Mansion, first person. This is the first person view of it. Instead of the third person view, which is what the default is in, you get the first person view. This is Shadow the Hedgehog Reloaded, which is like, is on steroids, I guess. Shadow is fun, but I can only imagine what they did with that one. You got Super Monkey Ball, certain levels, and everything else is pretty standard. It's the official GameCube versions. I make sure to download those for stability. Obviously, this is a Bully Scholarship Edition. That's what that is. So that's the Bully. Now, the reason why I have so many GameCube games on here is because the GameCube games, pound for pound, are the ones that are going to get you the most bang for your buck, quality-wise. When I say that, I mean that, all right, here's all my GameCube games. Everything you just saw, here it is, right? These games are, let me sort them out for you guys, size. That's 2.7 gigabytes. And this is, the smallest GameCube game I have is literally 20 gigabytes, right? And in between that, their range, like Freaky Flyers is 1.25. Okay, cool, right? So the reason I love these GameCube games is because, and even though I haven't played them all, is because pound for pound, you're gonna get the most bang for your buck. What do I mean by that? When I go into PS2 games, majority of the games, like this one, for example, is 2 gigabytes. We got Kingdom Hearts. That's 2 gigabytes. And also when you're running a PS2 emulator, you got to have the BIOS file. So you got to know what you're doing with that. You got to be able to get some BIOS files in there so it can load it. The GameCube games just load right up. More ease of use, I guess. But I guess pound for pound, they're not that much different. Well, put it like this. The smallest one here is going to be 716. Very, you're not anything under 500 megabytes is going to be pretty simple on a PS2. But when I said before about custom ROMs, here we have God of War 2 Infernal Edition, and we have God of War 1 Vampire Edition. What it is just like tint. I'll play it for you guys so you can see it for yourself, but it's pretty cool mods that make the game look cooler, like more menacing and stuff like that, even though they already are. And the other games I have on here. Now, I just took a whole bunch of games off to clear some space, because I got the 256 gigabyte version over there. It does come in a terabyte and 16 gigabytes of RAM. I got the 12 gigabyte RAM and the 256 gigabytes because there's so many games to play. I knew they couldn't fill up, 256 that easily. Now, if you're a pro user and you know what you're doing and you like to load Windows games, you're definitely gonna want the 16. To me, it was overkill for anything retro. I figured 12 gigabytes is enough to do things like GameCube, PS2, PSP. Now, the other ones that I like having are the PSP games, because the PSP games are going to be a gigabyte and a half, mainly, no more than 2 gigabytes. But the PSP is cool. The emulator is cool because you can run an SD card. The PSP is one of those specific systems that have been designed to run an SD card, because Sony used to sell memory sticks, as opposed to, say, the PS2, which is the memory is only for saving data, and then the PS3. Now, PS3 games, it's kind of dicey on PS3 games. I'm not gonna lie to you. PS3 games are fat. PS3 games are usually the ones that you want to play, like Infamous. Let's say you want to play Infamous, which I don't recommend on this, because either my emulator sucks or Android's graphics are not that suited for, which I think is the case. I think, for example, Grand Theft Auto is about 20 gigabytes. This tiny little thing right here is going to have a lot of trouble running a 20 gigabyte game. I'm just telling you, it's running off a flash memory. You get what I'm saying? It's not designed to run a big game like that. For that, you need an actual computer, or you need a game system to process that much data. This is just going to do, I wouldn't put past more of this 5 gigabytes at a time. If that's pushing it, I would say 2 to 3 gigabytes is your sweet spot for games. Anything bigger than that, this thing is gonna get overwhelmed. And what do we have for Wii games? Not that much. I'm not a big Wii, not a big Nintendo. I'm more Sony. And I say that with the GameCube games. GameCube is lit. Hey, GameCube, I did not have a GameCube growing up, and I failed to see how amazing GameCube is. My friends had GameCubes, or my specific friend, Austin, he had a GameCube. And I thought it was the coolest thing because he get to play Pokemon, Coliseum, and all that. And I'm like, damn, that's cool as fuck. And I'm sitting over here with the PlayStation. Don't get me wrong, which is hype. PlayStation 2 was hype. It was sexy. It was definitely a sexier system. But let's be real. I believe the GameCube was the most all around powerful. I do. I would say that. I think GameCube was the most powerful technically, graphics wise, and what's actually in the system. I don't know what's specifically in there, but I do believe GameCube is the most powerful out of the PS2 and the Xbox. But at any rate, that's why I got this in purple, because I knew that it would be mostly GameCube games I'd be playing on it. Because I didn't have a GameCube system, so I figured this is going to be my little GameCube system that I carry in my pocket GameCube. Got it hooked up right now because I want to show you what I got. And so you saw all the GameCube games, the PS2 games. I try to focus more on the GameCube games, the PSP games. Those are the ones I keep on the internal storage. And as you can see here, I got 218 gigabytes. We filled it up. 50 gigabytes left. That's a majority of GameCube games and PS2 games. I had PS3 games on there, but they were so heavy and they were so clunky when they ran that I was just like, nah, I'm going to stick to GameCube. It can run Nintendo Switch as well. Can run Nintendo Switch games as well. I haven't learned how to do that. But like I said before, I'm not a big Nintendo, nerdy. I'm more Sony. Nothing wrong with Nintendo. It's just more childish, I guess. We got for ROMs on the actual 32 gigabyte. Now, you can run, you're not limited to a 32 gigabyte SD card. I just have one in there because of the file system. I use FAT32 specifically. I find it to be more reliable and more consistent and not, what's the word? It will, what's the word is it? Corrupt, yes. I find this to be the most, like exFAT. So I put in a terabyte of SD cards in there, right? I have a couple SD cards that are a terabyte, micro SD cards, excuse me. And then I put them in there and I found that when I was using them, it was just like, it wouldn't read properly, or the games, I'd be playing the games and it just wouldn't work out. So I find, I said, you know what? We're gonna stick to FAT32. We're gonna round it off. It's 256 gigabytes plus another 32 gigabyte SD card. What's that, 280 gigabytes? That's decent. All right, that's decent. I figured that was decent enough. So on the 32 gigabyte micro SD card here, I have majority PSP games. And what's good about this is that while these games, like I said before, are like, these are the games, the ones that I put on that 32 gigabyte SD card are the games that are a gigabyte and below. So everything here, majority is gonna be, a gigabyte and less. And what's good about this is that's about 20 gigabytes. That leaves room for all of your other games. Game Boy games, you can mash Game Boy game things. You can mash Game Boy games into this and you won't notice a thing, because as you can see here, they're like 8 gigabytes, 4 gigabytes. That's the great thing about Game Boy games, is that they're super tiny. I got all my Pokemon games here. That's the other great thing. I can't state it enough that you can run custom Game Boy games that you would have never heard about if you didn't, have an emulator running. Other than that, you got Pokemon Emerald, Pokemon Fire Red, you got the standard. I got to get more on there. You can load this thing up with Game Boy games, and those are only a couple gigabytes. My favorites, Digimon Battle Spirit. Digimon Battle Spirit, man, that game that's my childhood game for sure. What else we got on here? Just really just PSP and Game Boy games. Anything else? I don't even have any other, I don't know why these folders are here. I think these are just for show. So it's really, yeah. And that takes up 10 gigabytes left. So I'll show you how that translates in my PSP emulator. So the majority of the game's gonna be. And yeah, these are the games right here. Yep, this is what we got. These are all a gigabyte or less, and then go to the main storage, because it's emulating that SD card. And you have all the heavy hitters: Grand Theft Auto, Crisis Core, Final Fantasy, Ratchet and Clank, Siphon Filter, Logan Shadow. I've never played that before. I've heard amazing things about it. God Eater 2, that's a pretty cool one. That's the amazing thing. Let's say you decided to buy a real PSP, right? For the aesthetics of it all, because I know how people are. Like, I don't want a fake PSP. I want a real PSP. All right, you can get that real PSP. You have to know how to sideload it, unless you don't mind jailbreaking it, unless you're somebody who's particular about those things and you're worried you're gonna break it. You have to sideload it and get the most out of it. Anyway, so here it is. This thing has a better screen. This thing has better playability. I can connect my controllers to it. It's just all around better than a PSP. I hate to admit it. You know what I'm saying? PSP was great for its time. It is great now. It is one of those devices that you look at, and it's just so well designed. But this thing is 120 frames per second, top screen here, 60 frames per second on the bottom. I can hook this up to my TV. Everything is easy breezy. So while I love the PSP and I love those older devices, matter of fact, just to show you I'm not talking out the side of my neck, I'll show you here. This was a gift. This was a gift, but I appreciate it nonetheless. Side by side is a great time to bring it out anyway. What we have here is a Nintendo 3DS, Japanese imported. This was a gift from a friend of mine. And let's see. Yeah. Size for size, they're about the same, It's about the same. But I'm gonna have a lot more fun on this thing. This is literally, the top screen's OLED. Now this does have a camera, albeit like 0.3 megabytes. This thing over here can take an SD card up to a couple terabytes if you like, if you wanna live that life. So don't get me wrong, this was great for its time, and I played many a great game on it. Zelda, what is it? A Link Between Worlds? What? Played that. That's the first 3DS I ever got. I got the gold one. Man, that was a fun game. I am not a Zelda fan at all. I'm not a Nintendo fan at all. But Zelda: A Link Between Worlds, with that gold the gold 3DS came out. I had that gold one. I was feeling like the shit because that shit was so pretty. But that game was lit, and it was 3D. Man, that is a great game. You'll see here that what I did in my data, I took off some. So the PSP games that I knew I wasn't going to play for any time soon, you'll see here like Ace Combat, Castlevania, which are all great games. It's just Midnight Club 3. Right now I'm playing Midnight Club LA Edition, which is clearly the superior one, and Birth by Sleep. So just like, the games that I want to be able to load on, like on the spot. So let's say I want to load them on the spot, but I don't have internet. They're just right here on the hard drive. What else? The other ones that I have are my 3DS games, which are heavy. These games are heavy. I mean, they're for the 3DS. They're a lot of graphically intensive, graphically heavy hitting games. So we got 4 gigabytes up here. Pokemon Alpha. These are heavy, heavy games. They're not going to be, the 3DS is very graphically intensive. So, say bye-bye to this. This thing, fun device, and I love the design of it too with the Super Famicom. But this thing, right, it's not that, not that different in size. Screen is much bigger. Not that different in size. We got 2 analog sticks. All right, let's get on the good foot. So I got games like Kid Icarus Uprising. I'm not in the 3DS bag yet. Right now I'm more onto, as you can see, I'm on like Dragon Ball Z, PS2, God of War. Those games I have more of an affinity for. Now, don't get me wrong, I do love my 3DS games, and I do love a good puzzle game. I do love those graphically cartoon games, but you get older. Not even that, but I'm just not in my like 3DS bag and my Nintendo DS bag. Like those games to me definitely require more tactile involvement than you just sitting on a controller. For example, I can't just like sit back and play my 3DS games unless I can connect a certain controller to the TV. I wonder if that could play through with a DualSense 5. But anywho, you know what I'm trying to say. The DualShock games and like the Gamecube games are the games where they're designed for systems. Gamecube, PS2, you plug into the TV. Nintendo DS, you got to be up front and play it, touching the screen and stuff like that. So right now I'm in my Sony bag, I'm in my PS2 bag, and I love this system. I do. I love this little device. I do. So I have them on my hard drive for when I'm ready to play the 3DS games. These things are very heavy. I had them on here. They were about 20 gigabytes. So I took them off just so my device could kind of breathe at 50 gigabytes and 10 gigabytes. So yeah, pretty decent space. That's what I got on here now. If there's anything else you guys want to see, let me know. This thing is the bee's knees. I'm very satisfied. The fact that it can hook up to the TV is just like the chef's kiss. Because I can hook it up to any TV. That's insane. You can hook it up to literally anything with HDMI. You just plug it up, and you're ready to go. So let me know if there's anything you guys want to see later.